There's an AI cartoon generator out there that keeps producing cartoons that look like they came straight from a studio. And if you've been jumping between different tools trying to find something that actually works, this one will completely change the way you view AI. Because most AI cartoon generators were never actually built for cartoons specifically. They were built for realistic and almost lifelike results, which is why you end up fighting the software just to get a result that looks decent at most. Inconsistent styles, weird anatomy, and characters that look completely different from one image to the next. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly which tool I'm talking about, how to set it up, and a full walkthrough of how to make a cartoon. Before I reveal the tool, it's important to understand what I was trying to find in the first place. If you don't get the criteria first, you won't get why good AI cartoon generators are so hard to find, and why using the right one matters. The first thing I was looking for was access to all the top AI models, because different cartoon styles work better on different models. A Pixar-style character needs a completely different model than a 90s anime look, and if your generator only gives you one or two options, you're basically relying on those to match your vision, which they usually don't. The second thing I cared about was having really strong character consistency. This is the make or break for AI cartoons, because you're not generating one image, you're generating dozens, sometimes hundreds, and every single one needs to look like the same character in the same world. The moment your character's face changes even slightly, everything falls apart and your audience will instantly notice that. Fixing that manually, frame by frame, can easily eat up 3 or 4 hours of your day, which makes the consistency even more important. The third thing, and this is the one most people completely overlook, the platform needed to be stupidly easy to navigate. Image generation, character creation, video generation, all of it in one place, easily connected between each other. Because making AI cartoons is a constant back and forth between these three things. And if your tool buries each feature in a different menu, or makes you export and re-upload between steps, what it should take 20 minutes turns into an entire workday. You can see why it's so hard to find a great AI cartoon generator. Very few of them actually have all three working well together, and that's exactly what I thought too, until I found OpenArt. It's the only tool I tested that nailed all three categories. So let me actually prove that to you by jumping into the platform and creating a consistent character from scratch. When you first sign into OpenArt, you're going to head over to the character section on the left. Once you're there, you'll see two options. The first option is to start with an image. That's for cases where you already have a character you've used before and you want to import it instead of starting from scratch. If you don't have a character yet, just start with a description. Once you click that, you'll be prompted to choose a model and a style for your character. You'll see several models available, including Seedream 4.5, Nano Banana Pro, and the OpenArt default model. For this, I'm going to choose Nano Banana Pro. For this style, I'm going to select Pixar. After that, you'll move on to writing the prompt. Here's the prompt I'm going to use: a courageous young apprentice named Alara, wearing azure blue mage robes embroidered with glowing silver thread patterns. She has braided brown hair and large expressive green eyes with a determined expression. Once the prompt is in, go ahead and click generate. That will give you several versions of the character to choose from. Once you find one you like, just click it and OpenArt generates a full character overview. If everything looks good, you can move forward. At this point, you'll have the option to add a name and a backstory. Adding a backstory is incredibly useful when a character appears in multiple cartoons because it helps the AI understand the character and fit it more naturally into each scene. If you don't have anything in mind, you can skip this step and create the character. Now before we're done, we're going to create another character, which is one of the biggest reasons for why I love OpenArt. It allows you to connect multiple characters in one image. So we're going to repeat the same process. Here's the next prompt. A dark villain called the Shadow Lord Vorthos, wearing a flowing dark purple robe. His red eyes glow from within a shadowy hood, giving him a menacing presence. Generate the character, choose the version you like, and complete the setup. Once both characters are created, we're ready to use them. Click create on one of the characters, then click to add another character and select the first one from the list. Now that both characters are ready, we can start creating scenes with them together. By the way, if you want to follow along with this walkthrough, I've left a link to OpenArt in the description below. Before we generate anything, I'll quickly walk you through the character interface. That makes the rest much easier. Up at the top, you've got the prompt box. You interact with it by adding whatever elements you want in the scene: characters, environments, styles, and assets. So in this case, if I want to add both of our characters, I'll just write add, and then I'll choose the character I want to add. The exact same logic applies to images and any other assets you want to bring in. Once you understand that, you're basically just stacking instructions in a clean, controlled way, and down here, you choose the model. I'm going with Nano Banana Pro for this one. It consistently gives the best overall results. After that, you've got your aspect ratio options. For this project, I'm going to stick with widescreen across the board. Then I'll set the resolution to 4K because I want the best images possible right from the start. By choosing a higher resolution here, you get cleaner frames later when this becomes a video. With all of that set, we're ready to generate the first image. For this scene, I want our main character to arrive in some kind of throne room, almost like a palace. So I'm going to describe it like this. Wide shot of a dark, gothic throne room made of black stone. Alara stands dwarfed in the foreground entrance, looking up, her staff glowing faintly. On a raised dais across the room, Vorthos stands holding a brilliant, blindingly bright, golden sunstone gemstone aloft in one hand, looking down menacingly at Alara. The light from the stone casts long dramatic shadows. I've added both of my characters directly into the prompt, so everything stays consistent. Now we're ready to generate. Before you hit create, just pick how many images you want down here. I'm going with 3, and here's the result. It looks incredible. The quality is top-notch, and both characters are staying perfectly consistent. What I really like here is that the Pixar-style 3D cartoon look is also holding steady. That's crucial when you're planning to turn this into a video, since visual consistency is what makes scenes feel like they belong in the same world. Now I want to create a new scene. For this one, I'm going to write a new prompt, and again I'm adding both characters. This time, we're jumping into the middle of the fight. Dynamic medium shot. A powerful, bright blue beam of magical energy shoots from the staff of Alara on the left side of the frame. On the right side, Vorthos has one hand raised, creating a swirling, translucent shield of dark red and purple energy that is violently blocking the blue beam in the center. Sparks fly wildly at the point of impact. When everything looks right, the previous image gets linked at the end of the prompt. To do that, I'll upload an image by clicking History and selecting the image we already generated from the menu up top. This is incredibly useful because it means we never have to download anything. Everything is built directly into OpenArt, which makes the whole process faster and cleaner. Once that's done, I'll add a single line that references image number 1, then I'll click Generate. Here's the next result. Both the environment and the characters are staying perfectly consistent, and the fight scene looks really strong. At this point, the system is doing exactly what we want it to do, so I'm just going to repeat the process for the next scene. This final one is the victory scene. I'll write the prompt, add the previous ones as a reference, and generate. And there we have it. Another perfectly consistent, great looking image. Now that we've got all 3 images, we're ready to move on to generating the videos, which in my opinion is the most exciting part of this entire process. The coolest part about creating AI cartoons is that you don't even have to download any of the assets. Everything is easy to access and use directly inside the platform with only a few clicks. So if I hover over this image, I can click image to video, and that instantly takes me into the image to video workflow. I can switch between different models without the image deleting itself or anything breaking. That alone saves a huge amount of time and friction. In terms of AI models, we have access to nearly all the top tier video options. We've got models like Kling, Google Veo 3.1, and Sora 2 Pro, all in one place. For this generation, I'm going to use Google Veo 3.1. The reason is simple. From what I've seen, it gives the best quality for cartoons, particularly with that 3D look. On top of that, it gives us really strong audio quality, which matters a lot once you start building full scenes instead of just visuals. So I'm going to tweak my settings. I'll set the version to 3.1, turn audio on, keep the resolution at 1080p, set the aspect ratio to 16:9, and leave the video mode on normal. I'll also set the duration to 8 seconds. Once that's done, we're ready to import a prompt. This is the prompt I'll be using for this video. You can also see that I have the option to attach an end frame. Personally, I prefer going without an end frame. Since the 2 frames aren't perfectly consistent, adding the end frame creates a slightly awkward transition. With all that being said, I'll go ahead and generate without an end frame. Now you can see the result on the screen. It's extremely impressive, and overall, it turned out really well. Now let me go ahead and generate the second prompt. I'll import my second image, which I can do super easily by accessing the history feature. From there, I'll import this prompt right here, click generate, and here's the result. At this point, I'll quickly generate the last one. That's the power of the consistent character feature inside OpenArt. It's genuinely that good, and you honestly feel it as soon as you start using it. Now there's just one thing still missing from this cartoon to really elevate the overall aesthetic, and that's the narration and the audio for the actual cartoon. So let's go ahead and create that without ever leaving OpenArt. Creating audio and narration in OpenArt is surprisingly simple, just like everything else we've done so far. Click the audio button in the bottom left to start typing your narration. For me, I already have a few lines prepared that I've written out for each scene we're about to include, so I'll just go ahead and paste all of those lines into this single field. When I'm editing the full video later, I'll simply cut the audio file as needed. You can also generate each line one by one if you prefer, but doing it this way saves a lot of time. Once all of your lines are pasted in, we get to the most fun part of this entire process, which is selecting the voice. We've got many voices available. What I'm looking for here is an older narrator, someone who sounds like a grandpa telling a story. So I'll start by setting the accent. That part doesn't matter too much, so I'll just not bother choosing anything. For gender, I'll select male, and for age, I'll choose old. Right away, you can see we get a solid selection of voices that match that description. We can preview them, and personally, I really like Finn, so I'm gonna go ahead and select Finn right here. Next, we can tweak the voice settings. I'll set the audio speed to 1, perfect for this generation. Next is stability. This controls how stable the voice is and how much variation there is between generations. The lower the stability, the more human the voice tends to sound, so I'll lower that a bit. After that, we've got similarity. This sets how closely the AI matches the original reference. I'm gonna lower this down to 5. That allows some variation while keeping the original voice intact. Finally, there's style exaggeration. This adds more natural elements to the voice, like subtle intonation changes and expressiveness. I'll bump that up to about 0.6. With all of that set, I'll click create and take a listen.
She enters the temple to confront the dark mage and reclaim the glowing stone.
In my opinion, it sounds amazing. It genuinely sounds like an old grandpa telling a story, which is exactly what we're going for here. So with that done, I'll go ahead and move all of my assets into an editing software. Use whatever editor you prefer. I'll bring everything together, and here's the final result.
She enters the temple to confront the dark mage and reclaim the glowing stone. She fires a beam of magic, but the dark mage blocks it with a shield. The stone is hers. A flash of light banishes the dark mage into darkness. She celebrates her victory in the forest, but her magic begins to spark uncontrollably.
Honestly, the cartoon looks incredible. Every character and every video clip stays perfectly consistent from start to finish. And the fact that we were able to create this entire thing in under 20 minutes is absolutely insane. Now imagine if the cartoon you just watched had a main character whose face completely changed every single shot. That would completely destroy the immersion and make the entire thing unwatchable. And that's exactly what happens when you use tools that weren't built for cartoons. That's why OpenArt is crucial for AI cartoon creation. If you want cartoons that look professional and stay consistent all the way through, sign up to OpenArt using my link in the description below.